All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Sam here with you. It's the 15th, 12:28 for me. Well, look at Bitcoin. What are we now, 61,305? Boy, that all-time high is hard to imagine we're not going to get it here in the very, very near term. Well, no, we'll look at some of the nuance that's in here as to what we might expect as we get there. But just a couple of things here before we start. First off, I probably should mention this more than I do, but I'm not one to pimp our services, but I get reminded that I need to do this more often than I do. Just for anyone that's watching on YouTube, or even if you're a free member, just a reminder, everything that you see me do here, everything that I do in my own analysis, is exactly what we teach in the belt system. So if this kind of technical analysis methodology, this combination that we're doing between fib swings, algo-related fib swings, market geometry, and Elliott Wave is appealing to you, well, that's entirely what the belt system is about. So something to think about. As always, you can join us for free. Just a little reminder here. We have so many that start that path, right? They join us for free. Get in, ask around, get a feel for it, go through the white belt, see if you can pass the white belt. Don't take it for granted. It's not easy. You wouldn't pass it without studying. It's the white belt, and then if they like that and they want to, get further into the belt system and essentially go deeper into their own skill sets, developing their skill set, well, that's where blue, purple, and beyond come into play. So there's lots of options for you to participate with us, even if you're just a social member, which is that's the intermediate. You're going to get access to everything with the exception of the upper belt system, right? So that perhaps if you have a skill set with Elliott Wave, some of that additional Elliott information in those upper belts may not appeal to you, but you still get access to everything we're doing, all the trade ideas, all the video releases, all the polling, all the live stream content. A lot of value there for the social membership. So any of that information or anything that you see me doing here, whether it's me bringing in motive wave, which is something that I use a lot, or some of the harmonic patterns that you will see in live streams. All of that, if you just click on the link tree that's underneath the video, you'll get some access to some links and content and ways you can participate with us or join us in the belt system if that's of interest to you. All right. So with all of that said, what I do? 2 minutes. All right. 2 minutes of promo. I don't do that very often, but here we go. All right. So that said, now here we sit. This is the daily on Bitcoin, and I've just been starting here lately, and I'm here just not so much to discuss the count per se, as to just bring to your attention something that we've been talking about for months now, it feels like. This inside channel here, these are 23 sixes off the median line. Well, throughout this whole little grind higher where it was just unclear, right? Were we going to do something like this and then bring it down more traditional, or maybe there's going to be a triangle. Well, we were kind of struggling with the idea we couldn't get outside of this channel. Well, lo and behold, look what we've just done today. Boom. All right, so there's the pop to break outside of that. Okay, now there's significance here in the sense that we've been contained by this. Now that's, you'd want to see something a little more substantial here, maybe even a little retest or something along those lines here, but let's pull it back out here. Now, while this is hard to argue with, or just to keep perspective here, there's a possibility here that as we're driving higher, and likely this is a bit of a front run off of the ETF news, it's not unreasonable to think that we might have retraced here. We're going to go up and pop that new all-time high and then start something deeper. And as a matter of fact, you could, I know this is the least popular account, right? Probably in all of crypto here. But there's still a possibility here that this is a B wave. It's just, do I think that's what's happening? No, not anymore. But you can't eliminate it yet. And until we get a full ripping 3 here, if this is 1, 2, until we get a big 3 here, I can't pull that off the board yet. Still possible. Still possible that this ends up being a 3. It's a little bit of a gnarly. It's not the cleanest, easiest start into an impulse you've ever seen. But that said, if I had to pick, my assumption would be after going through all of this and really leaning into the idea that this wasn't a clear just, bang, we're done. If this is 1, 2, this is there's your target for your 3. That's Oh shit, what are we doing there? I think that's the 1618, right? So if I, oh, here, we'll get close enough here, right? So something, so we got to get a big bang in 3 here to really nail this down, say, okay, I am absolutely positive that we did a 1-2 there, right? And this is the 4. I mean, there's a couple of different counts that we've looked at here that create some question marks here. We're not completely, right? Don't assume, right? Let the market prove it here. Now, when we dig into some of the lower time frames here, I think you'll see what I'm saying is here. Right now, it's kind of tricky to see how we're going to get there unless this is all going so much higher, right? Was kind of what we looked at last week, which, you know, I know it's bull porn, but you know, all of those scenarios are very real and very possible here. So this idea that we've got 1-2 and this is the 3 would likely be the consensus amongst Elliotticians, although there is a very valid count here that because this didn't go far enough relative to prior wave 3s in Bitcoin, that this could be a 1-2, 1-2, then we would have just done 1-2 again, right? And we looked at that last week, and not to dwell on the bull porn, but that is certainly a real possibility. And I think that really is exaggerated here if I bring over motive wave. So same count. This is, all I'm doing is just asking motive wave to put the traditional Elliott channel on it here. We're connecting 2, 4, and 3. Well, you do see that wave 1 is kind of left out here in the cold. Now, and again, I did this last week, but just to show you this, right? Again, this is not what I think now is happening, but if I pull this off just a bit, right? See, now we get traditional. You see what happens there? Now we get the 1, 2, and the 3. We're looking for the 4. So I just keep that just in the back of your mind. This all looks self-contained. And this also kind of feeds into that idea, which you hear me describe a lot. So this is one self-contained impulse. So I really understand that thinking here, that if this is all self-contained, that this 4 is not relative to this 1. It's, I mean, certainly it's possible, right? We're going to 1-2, and okay, well, this is just bit of an unusual, right? It's not aberrant. It's just a bit of an unusual way that we're structuring this to have the 1 so far outside, so much time pass here. And really what this is showing you is the difference in time between the 2 and the 4. Yeah, so you could kind of talk yourself into the idea, okay, where everybody's rallying off of the ETF news, that you could have a buy the rumor, sell the fact here, and then we're out here and get something more traditional. Again, could be that triangle pattern, something that would just make this more traditional, right? Now, nothing about Bitcoin is traditional, other than that it's very technical and that it has an unbelievable regular habit of making the 2s very elusive. All right, so here you have an incredibly deep 2. Here, right, we can, I mean, for the entire ride, right, it was where's the 2? Where's the 2? We're kind of having the same problem over here. It's just very odd, very deep or very shallow. It's less common that we see a typical 50 or a golden zone. I mean, it's not that we don't see them. It's just this out here on the daily, definitely unusual. All right, so with that said, I don't know if there's anything additionally we have to go in here. Let's see. If I went down... let's go to a 4-hour here just to make the point here that coming off of this, when I'm on Coinbase, when I'm over on TradingView, I'm looking at a Bitstamp where we have that somewhat more dramatic little wick here, that little freak out wick. Well, as we're climbing here, this is about the best case you've got in terms of where we are. I do think now, when we'll look at it over on TradingView, I do think now, because we had looked at the possibility that we went WXY and we had to truncate here. Now, I think that we have to eliminate that because there's no 2 in this. So I think we need the 1-2 here. I think we need that as the 2. And there's a count that will support that. I think we need that 2. And then we've just got this extension. Show me your 2 there, right? It's not there, right? Is it here? 3, 4, 5? Tricky, right? So this is here. I'm asking motive wave to label it best we can with this as the 2. So is that the 4? Is the 5? Right? So what you'll note here is that if we're approaching, oh, here you can see, you know, there'll be some stops up there, right? So there'll likely be a reaction when we get up here. But if we were to complete here, well, odds are we didn't complete the 3, right? So excuse me, if it's 1, 2, looks like we're in the 1 of 3, and that's very bullish, right? So we'll go through those numbers. Oh, let's see. Here, let's go down to the lower time frame here. Okay, so there's the 4 hour, which is I was just looking at. Let me pull back here and see. Because really, you know, the question is, where are we? Where's the next opportunity? How do we get another bite at this? If you didn't buy the retrace here, which I know many of you did, this was very technical. Now, one of the things I'm going to do here is kind of address one of the issues that we've been struggling with here, and I think the way to do this is through just looking at some other markets here. So hang on one second. It's so hot. I'm going to edit this out. Hang on. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Just gets very hot in my office. Okay, now so this is what I'm trying to address. This issue of log, no log, right? So we're out here looking long term. Clearly, we're in log, right? So here, when we get down here looking at this, now we don't have that same. We don't have a $64,000 range. So with a tighter range, we can go out of log, but the in and out of log has just been it's a challenge for everybody. We talked about this last week. There's no definitive answer. So my suggestion has been, and what I do, you got to use your eyeballs, right? So is it tracking, or are we seeing the algorithm respond here in log scale? Well, I think there's no better here. We'll be back, right? I'm just gonna, oh shit, where did I do it? Here, let's do it right here. So this is ETH to Bitcoin, right? And I think this is a pretty dramatic example. And the bad news is here, this is not going to clarify anything for you other than that you have to check both. So let me just work through this very, very briefly here. So if we're working on the assumption here, we get a leading diag here. So you'd be looking for something technical at the 4 relative to the distance between the 1 and the 3. All right, so if I just do this right here. Okay, so here we come, exact golden zone. Look at the reaction at the target. Look at the reaction at the second target. Right, so clearly it was in effect here. So you might say, oh, okay, maybe that's just a coincidence. Well, what would we do next, right? If this is a completed leading diag, we'd say, okay, well, let's identify the area for the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, golden zone. Now, here we get a little reaction at the second target. Here, it's blowing right through, right? So it's not a requirement that we retrace from these, but the fact that you see these little reactions helps you identify this. But clearly, the algorithm is active here. We say, hey, okay, that's 2 in a row. What else you got? Okay, how about that 2? Just grab it. No, right. So again, it's not the golden. It's not the 618. It's in the golden zone. Right, just blows right through. Right now we're in this process here. So I think, you know, again, it would have been nice if it's like, well, shit, it's just not there anywhere, right? When I go to log scale, I just don't see that same precision. I don't see the same defense or reaction at the targets. I don't see it when I'm in log scale. Well, lo and behold, and additionally, right, when we looked at these are 2 trades that, we're triggered from a live stream that I know members are in. Well, here's VeChain, swing low to swing high. What do we do? Right into the golden zone. We're in log scale. 1, 2, off we go. So golden corner underway. Well, we looked at that one, and then the other one we looked at was Ripple. Right? These are all trades that members identified. I happen to be in these as well. Well, here's our 5. Here's a 3. Right to the 50. Right to the Vegas wave, the 233, that's 50 to the tick, so we get a corner pocket, right? Working on that 5, which would be if this is the 1, that's likely going to be the 1 of the 3. So there you go. I think that at least we're out of the fog of do I use it, do I not use it? Well, the reality is you got to check both. It's just sad but true. You got to check both. So here's it. Now, I think if I had to choose, right, it's always better to where I don't have that confusion. So if I have the range here, well, now we're still a $30,000 range, but I can take it out of log scale because the difference is really minimal right here because we're not looking at such a long either both the length of time and then the size of the move here. So I think you can come out of log scale here. And now, as we focus in on this correction, I think we can settle in on this, and this is the same thing we just looked at here. So if we can go ABC into a W, ABC into the X, then ABC into the Y, gets us done down here at this 4. And I think after looking at a lot of scenarios here, I think that's the cleanest count. There's still a little. This is a slight truncation here. This isn't the cleanest of finishes, but I think this gets us done here as cleanly as any of the alternates. All right, so if this is going to hold as our 4, and again, we're not, I know, right? It's so unpopular just to even suggest it, right? But it's very, very real possibility that we're just doing that, right? So until, or do I want that to be what happens? Absolutely not. But we can't eliminate it, right? We've got to get a big rip-roaring third coming out of this. Then we can scratch it off the list of possibilities, right? Which is, love it or hate it. That's one of the, when you have multiple scenarios, that's one of the negatives of, you might suggest if you were trying to be critical of Elliott Waves, there's too many possibilities. Well, once the market starts to reveal itself, possibilities, you're just knocking them off the list until it's only one thing. All right, so let's just have a look here. All right, so here's the 4 on the assumption here that we come off of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's a bit of a squeeze into that 3. Oh, let me get maybe a 2 hour here. But 1, 2. One thing that's interesting here is, again, these are things that just do not happen randomly. From the swing low, if this is the 1, this is the 2. Well, we go exactly. I mean, that's to the tick, 100% the length of the first swing projected from that retrace. Boom. So that's a qualifier for the 3. Now, so you might say to yourself, well, wait a minute. I thought 3 had to be longer than 1. No. 3 just can't be the shortest, right? So clearly 5 was the shortest. 1 and 3 have parity. There's a little ABC in there, and then you can finish. And there's even, if I go down to a 30-minute, there's another little 5 that kicks it off. Now, this gets a little squirrely, and this is where we had looked at a couple of scenarios here, but it does look like, I think this trades the cleanest here. You do have to truncate here because this is just a liquidation wick. A, B, C into the, oh, pardon me. So we'd go A, B, C into this, right? You're just kind of stuck with it. You got to go A, B, C into the B. This is ugly, no doubt about it. But I mean, we could bicker. Is it here? Is it A, B, C this way? Because you could probably get a 5 into that. Almost doesn't matter. I think as I was prepping for this and looking at this for my own trading benefit, we had looked at the possibility that this was a WXY XZ and we did an ABC here, but now because there's been no retracement here other than this liquidation wick here or whatever, somebody dropped some size in there, was quickly rejected. So I don't even think you want to count that. As a matter of fact, over in as I was showing earlier, right? So it's much less dramatic on Coinbase than it is on Bitstamp. I think we need that 1 too. So however you count this, it almost doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it's a 3. 3 brings us down. Now, let me zoom in here because I do think we need this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, is that a clean impulse? No. But does it qualify? Well, I'm going to go with it for the time being here. Now, if I go down to a 5-minute, it cleans it up a little bit, right? And you can get a better finish into that. But what I think is more significant is the 3. So we get an A, B, C into the B, and then, it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's anybody's guess, right? This, again, as you hear me say this all the time, Elliott's not perfect. Don't expect it to be. It's not going to break down into a 5 and a 5 and a 5 and a 3 and a 5 and a 5. When you get down from the daily down to the 1 minute, you're going to have they disintegrate as you get down to lower time frames. So we work with the broader structure here. So I think I need this 1, right, to make sense of this because if I don't, otherwise it gets almost impossible to count this because there's no 2. So if this is what I guess what I'm trying to get to here, we need to do this 1, 2. Right, to accommodate what comes off of that and put it in context and something that would make sense. Now here, let me pull back out here. So this from the swing here where we got this corner pocket. Now this was a 50. Oh, it's just a couple of wicks past the 50 here. All right, so we got a couple of spike wicks that went down into this zone down here. You see, I still have a lingering alert that was there because if that was going to break, then I was going to have to recount it. But as we sit here, it looks like you'd have to go 1 and into a 2. So you'll note here we're in between the 50 and the golden zone. That's where we get our pivot. Oh, likely it's tied to some of this structure here off to the left. But either way, it could very well just be the algorithms kicking in here. We know now we're at a log scale. We don't have to wonder if there's an algorithm participating there. Here's the target. There's just tagged it. Got the median line relatively quickly, right? And so this is perfect example of trading principle number 3. If we're not going to pivot at the median line, it'll hover around either side before it decides whether it's going to go up towards the upper or down towards the lower here. And clearly the move is towards the upper. So this 80% is burned. So this set of median lines could very well come into play again. So I wouldn't take it off, but with regards to our target here, our 80%, we can hide it, right? That's burned, right? So it's already delivered that 80%. Now, this is where kind of the measuring of swing starts to become important. Okay, so I thought I had something on that. Okay, so this is relative to this 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We're finishing up here, so I can pull that off. All right, so on the premise here that we've got this as a 1, 2. Oh shit! I thought I had this labeled. Let's go 1, 2. All right, where are we still? It looks to me like we're still seeking that 3. Right, we're not there yet. Well, so we got to deal with the internal, right? So this could be we're here. Right, this is one that I know many people are tracking here because you can't rest, even if I take that thing off, right? You can't, it's such an aberrant wick. It's whatever happened there is just, welcome to crypto. Right? So I when you see that, when it's so quickly rejected and it's not on other exchanges, I just don't even include it in the analysis here. But now here, I know this is getting a little hard to see. So this is what I was trying to do. I'm going to hide that. That's what I meant to do. Okay, so now I've got traditional Elliott channel on here where I'm connecting the start of it, the 1 and the 2, right? That's what we were trying to do when we were looking at the channels over in Motive Wave. It's the same idea. Okay, so I'm through this up here. So I got a couple of choices here. Well, I could double the channel. We don't have the 3. Eventually, we'll take the channel and we'll draw from the 1 to the 3 looking for the 4. But right now, this is all we got, right? So here, this little break. I don't do anything now until I see how far this goes. But we can start to measure here internally. So this, having reached, and there's the reaction, right? It's to the tick reaction. Okay, let's take that off. Okay, 1, 2. All right, now where are we here? Well, if this is 1 and this is 2, if I wiggle this here, there's my 100%. Not there yet. So you start to look at. So what's the value here? Now, see, this is where Elliot is adding value, right? So because I can look at this and go, okay, I know I've got a candidate here. Now, this is a little ugly here, but I've got a candidate for a 1, 2, right? Right, what do I tell you guys here? This is all the market ever does, right? It's a swing or retrace. Now, we're going to break this low. We're going to break this low. It's all the market. At every degree, you could break the market down to just that simple thing, right? When in doubt, if you can simplify, do it. Swing, retrace. Well, we broke this, external retracement. Right. Now, now we come to that. So you can just look at that in terms of the fib relationship here and say, oh, my algo got paid. Okay, well, now we just sit and wait for the next one. So if you were doing that, since the algo just got paid, right, all you're looking for is the next retrace. Right, same thing, just repeats over and over and over and over. Right. Now, so if we now put our Elliott hats on, we say, okay, well, if that's a 1, 2, right, which makes sense, right? Oh, the count's valid right there. Oh, and that's my 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Well, if this is the 1 and the 2, this is just a target, right? So it doesn't have to go get that. Because just as we were looking at before on the earlier count, right, oh, shit, where was it? Here, right? So the 3 doesn't have to be the shortest, just can't be doesn't have to be the longest, just can't be the shortest. So we can actually fail the 100 here. Oh, so we'd know at that time, okay, well, if that were the 3 is shorter than 1, so we'd need to make sure that 5 was shorter than 3. Well, that would be shocking, right, if that's where we end up. What I think is infinitely more probable here, and I would guess any Elliott trader would be thinking the same thing, is that we've got the 1 going in. Let's take that up a degree. Let's go to sub oh, what are we not here? Let's use green here. Okay, so our candidate here is that this is 1, 2, and whatever we're doing here is not the 3. Because we don't have a 1, 2 to make up that 3, right? And so unless this is the 3, which you know, again, we can't eliminate it unless that's the 3, right? And we're, you know, shit, we could have an extension here, right? Could get up to the 1, 2, right? If it's not going to be 1, 6, 1, 8. I mean, you could look at that and say, God, really? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a, I mean, that's a pretty big 3. Just measuring that 3 alone. Here, let me zoom in here a little bit. Just to measure where is this the 3, 4, right? So yeah, you know, it's kind of an ugly count on the way. So all you can do, right? They say you measure twice, cut once. Well, here, measure twice, trade once. 1, 2. Well, here was the candidate, right? So if this was the 1, 2, that's where you might have been thinking originally. You get my 3. Well, we're going all the way to the 2 and through the 2, 6, 1, 8. So we've already got a big rip here in the third. I mean, there's no requirement that it stop here at the 2, 6, 1, 8, but you just look back historically, that tends to be a pretty good move for a wave 3 statistically compared to other wave 3s or the millions of trillions of wave 3s that came before. So, okay. All right. So what do I need to do here? So I need to wick off this as a candidate for my 1, right? So here, I should have probably changed that color. Okay, so 1, 2, is that the 3, 4? Again, where's your 2, right? So is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Is this the 2? Is it 1, 2, 3? Ugly, right? So you really, that's why. Oh, over here, you know, I'm trying to count this here, and I'm asking the software to say, well, show me the best fit for a motive for an impulse coming off of that low. But the implication is here's the 3 is in, and we're in that final drive for the 5. All right, so if we look for that and say if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, well, which again, same kind of idea. Well, what tools can I use? Well, I could use the length of the 1 and project it from the proposed 4. Well, look what I get here. Okay, so now I've got the 1, 6, 1, 8, the length of the 1 projected from what here is now a proposed 4. Pretty good confluence right there, right? You can see why I've got the 5 sitting right there. So if that's going to be the 1, again, nothing says this must stop here. No, 0. Nothing says that has to stop. What you will note is where that comes into play relative to this high. So if we just use the bodies, that last little pivot here, I just want to use that right there, right? You could see, you know, this again, I've said this so many times, this would be well, let me just phrase it this way. This would be a high risk location to enter along. So we've talked about this many times. This would be a fucking terrible place to long the market. Now, again, so I say that, you know, it doesn't mean it couldn't just explode off of that. But that's you always want to be long going into a significant pivot like that, because the possibility here is that we run all the stops and then we do something deeper is very real. And the count here would kind of suggest that. If we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, you almost don't want it to get there. You want it to start the retrace sooner than that, ideally, right? In a perfect world, if I could script this, I'd say, well, go ahead and top right here. Don't get there yet. I don't want you to get there yet, because I want to be able to trade that when this completes. If I get this, I want to be longing here for the anticipation that now, having tested it once, and even if we get through, I mean, if it's 3, 4, we get through, right? Now, this will be very interesting if it gets tested from above. That would be a better place to get long. If you're you know, screw the Elliott and you just want to trade off price action, at least you're coming here now with a retest from above, rather than this is the highest risk. Wait a second, I shouldn't be derogatory about it. It's the highest risk location to enter the market at a major pivot high. Certainly in crypto, right? I mean, maybe equities, you can pull that off. But in crypto, FX, futures, that's a high risk, because other traders that are out for your Bitcoin know that, right? So this is a potentially, it's just, it's retail bait, right? It is because retail say, oh, Bitcoin's got a new high, ETFs are coming. So it seems like easy money. Right? That's the thought. Oh man, what are we gonna have? 4 ETFs coming? We're about to break the all-time high. Right? As soon as it starts to feel like easy money, my sphincter clenches a bit. Right? There is no easy money, period. So don't look for it. There's smart money. There's tactical money. Easy money in trading, that's the illusion everybody wants to sell you. Right? That is absolutely not right for you. If I take pride in anything that we do here, we do not sell you the easy money approach to it. Good God, have I got competitors. This shit that I see on YouTube blows my mind. Blows my mind. Trade here, make 20,000 a week. It's just, oh my God, I can't believe people fall for it. I'll see somebody doing shit like that. I have 150,000 followers, right? They dwarf me, dwarf what we do here. We're not trying to teach you that this is easy. In actual fact, I'm trying to teach you the exact opposite, that this is the hardest money there is, the hardest. Now, maybe crypto changed that a little bit, right? If you were in early, all you had to be was long. But in terms of the tactical swing trading along the way, don't ever buy into the idea that there's something that's going to make this easy. I don't care what bot you're looking at. There is no easy money in the markets, period. Get off that idea. There is only smart money, tactical money, hard money, easy money. That's the bullshit they're trying to sell you for whatever they're asking for it. We are not of that thinking. All right, so not to dwell on that. Okay, 1, 2, something here needs to complete. We look below and say, well, so this is an RSI. It's just the RSI presented a little differently. I actually kind of like it because I like the way it shows trend versus not trend as we break through this little chop zone here. And then this is the volume zone oscillator. This is something we've been using a lot in the futures market here. Very reliable for potential pivots. So is this oh, what do I want here? Is this enough here to call that divergence? Well, marked new high here. We're not getting the same here. The VZO, we're a little overextended here. Now, of course, this could just keep going, and then this just all of a sudden you're back here. So this is just a moment in time. But as we look here, you can see how you'd want this to finish, right? If it finishes sooner, because here's the impulse we're trying to complete. What I don't want to see is oh, come here. I don't want to see something come out here and say, oh, that's the 4. It's much like the problem we have with Bitcoin. This looks like it's all self-contained. I want this to stay self-contained. So if it pivots up here, now it would be surprising if it did that, right? If we were to get that close to the all-time high and then back off 50% from it, right? So you can just look at this and say, is that even in the realm of possibility? We're going to come up to that 100 here. We'd pivot at 63,299, not run the stops up here and then make a retrace all the way back down to 52, 51, or here, just where would you anticipate the support would come in, right? The prior structure would make sense. If we're going to come down here, we're going to do that after not getting there. Be surprising, right? Bitcoin is always full of surprises, technically, always tricky to trade, always. But I think if you're like me, already long, looking for strategic opportunity to get longer, right? At this point, right? Everybody's saying, shit, wish I had more. I'm right with you. Yeah, I'm in hurry up and wait here. Something has to complete. Once we started here, it's such a self-contained. It almost. I mean, the other possibility here is we're going to have the 4 somewhere else, right? That this is just a monster 3. I don't think we're to that yet. That's the best candidate I have for the 3, and it's because this went past the 2618 that I put it there, but recognize that I may have to move it if this is just going to keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to get into the 2 of the 3 of. All right, so pull back out and say, all right, where am I? Okay, if this is the if right. So I think consensus among Elliotticians would be it's either the 4 or the 2. If it's the 2, see, it wouldn't change your analysis, right? Which is there's the good news, right? So if it's the 2, oh shit, if if this is the 1 and we just put in a very shallow 2, right? Remember Bitcoin, 2s are the elusive swing, right? Where it's either too deep or too shallow, right? So if this is the too shallow 2, right, per that larger count here. Well, okay, if this is the 2, and then we're going 1, 2, we're still trying to get into the third. If it's the 4, same difference, right? We're still trying to complete an impulse. Now, if it's the 5, it doesn't have to be an impulse, right? It could be a diagonal. But if it's the 4, pardon me, if it's the 2, and this is 1, 2, this has to be an impulse, right? Now that, again, love it or hate it, I like that I don't have to wonder, well, is that, right? So if this is the 4, right, there's a couple of things it could be. If it's the 2, well, there's nothing else it can be. It could turn into something else. But if it's going to track as the 2, and this is the 1 of the, this could be the 1 of the 3, right? If this is 1, 2, I gotta have a big rip here, and this does not look like it's going to go far. Now, I say that, right? This thing could just keep ripping. The way it's going right now, this is not out of the realm of possibility. Now, you'd have to look at that and say, how am I going to get there? If this is 1, 2, pardon me, if this is going to be the 3 here, if it's 1, 2, and we're just going to track all the way, right? Nothing says we have to go up here, but that's what we got there, 78,000. Boy, well, I mean, if anything could do it, it would be Bitcoin. 1, 2, and we're going to get a 4, 6, 1, 8 in the 3. Be unusual, which is why what's more probable, all we get is probabilities, is that we're gonna put in our 1 here at some time in the near term. Again, that's why I was looking down here. Am I a little overextended, RSI? Oh, it's not quite there yet. So it would make you think that at some point we're gonna come up here, we're gonna wick those highs, right? There will be a reaction there for sure. There's gonna be a reaction. God knows how many stops are up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you kind of want to see it do that and then come back a little bit further. Because really, if you're a bull, we don't want this to happen. Because we want 1, 2, 1, 2, because then you're starting to thinking, wait a minute. The 3 is going to be likely way, way, way up here. So then you're looking 3, now we're over 100. All right, so this 1, 2, we got to use something here. We can't just randomly say, well, let's pick a number. Well, let's use a fib relationship here that we know is proven over time and trillions of Elliott wave patterns to see how we could get there. Okay, if that's 3, how could we get there? Well, if that were going to be 3, right, all of this is starting to get, again, now we're back to the bull porn. How do we... There's almost no way to read this that it isn't a little pornographic, right? So 1, 2... we don't want that to be the 3. Here, let's track it out. So let's say we get the 5 right here. So we get a little volatility, some stop action here. It'd be interesting to see if it hits it over the weekend. If this is going to play as the 1, and you can see, right, it all kind of fits in here how could be there. If this is the 1, then we're looking for the 2. Let's use a 50, right? So if this is the 1, here, we'll just draw it out. If this is the 1, say we get here, let's just use the 100. All right, so here's the 2. Let's use this. All right, we'll use traditional. If we got the 50, again, I don't have this, so this is not up. I'm not setting up a trade here I'm just laying out a roadmap because I don't know how far that can go. But I'm just going to use, a reasonable target, which would be 100% the length of this swing, right? So we'd finish this impulse here and we'd have a 1. All right, so if this comes down and we get this into a 3 here, we come down and we were to get a 3 here. Now, right, is there any question about what to do there? All right, I'd like to think not. Now, again, I don't have this. If we come down and we get into this zone, that's an absolute quantifiable. If you don't buy it there, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Right now, we don't have this yet, but that's an absolute back the truck up moment right there. If we get that. Don't have it yet, but let's just play it out. Let's say we did get that. Could that work? Well, then we'd have a 1, 2. Where are we looking for the 3, right? So we know this is our shorthand, so I can just put this together right here. say, okay, all right, so 1, 2, this will be very close because it's the negative 100. If we come from the 618, if we get a 3 here, it's going to be very close to the negative 100, something like this. Now we're, oh, where's my date here? Oh, we'd be towards the end of the year. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I want you here. Okay, 1, 2, so here's the 3, something shallow right there. That would be the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking for a 4. Right, you can start to really put the thing together. Now let me go back out to a 4-hour here, and you see how this starts to play and make sense. Right, 3, 4. Now you'd have to be looking. Okay, well, how high could this go? In relation to if this is 1, 2, and that's 3. Right. Well, now we've gone way, right? So we're making the assumption here. If I bring this back in here, look where we get right there. Right. So do you see what I just did? So now we've gone from the length of this one from what is currently the highest probable candidate for a 2. Now we're going into the 3 up here at the 2618. Right. So that would get us there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm just free drawing here. It's sharp sideways. We get a 3 up here, and we're at 102. Right, and that could easily be before the end of the year. We know statistically, the end of the year, the fourth quarter, in particular December, is a hugely bullish month for Bitcoin. We've got we've got the fucking debt limit, deal still to be reconciled here with Congress trying to, who knows, they could completely fuck that up. It's entirely possible, right, that they could, right, which should be bullish for Bitcoin, right? It'll probably, the broader markets will tank, but Bitcoin may be your safe haven. Now this all starts to make sense, right? The timing of it all starts to make sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This all starts to look really, really, now where are we going up here, right? 120s and change. And that would be on the assumption here. You got to take it all back out and say, okay, if we're going higher than that, does that make sense here? This would be my 5 up here relative to this being at the 4. Oh, see, now I got to put it back in log scale. Okay, so hang on. All right, so let's just see. Oh, fuck. Let's go back to the daily, if that works. Where would that be putting us in up here? Well, same process. If that's the one, and I'm going to put, where would we be? That would be, okay, do you see what I just did? Do you see where this is all coming together here, right here? Actually, let me draw it. Okay, there's your target. Okay, so length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4, this would be a very common target, right? That would be this would be 128,841. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And we'd be getting here, if I finish drawing that out, this would be the 4, and this would be the 5 that would get us there. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. 145-ish, right? 128 to 145 here. I'm just looking at the 1618 here. Because that 1618 is off of this one too. If we're going to go all the way to the higher target. Now the length of the 1 projected from the retrace into the 2, right? So this is our first target here, the negative 100. Well, here's our second target at negative 618. It all starts to fit. Now that's the count that would accommodate the 1, 2, and the fact that this is the 3, right? So this is all very good news for bulls. The bull porn is really what we looked at last week, is that this is not enough to be a 3. So I think we made the case there, right? That this is certainly one viable path. So don't feel like you've got to jump on now, because there's still so many retraces here. The 2, the 4, the larger degree 4. There's plenty of opportunity to get on. So don't FOMO into something. It's going to get you in trouble. Certainly not with leverage. There's just never any need to do it. Right? Just unless you're day trading it or short-term swing trading, there's no reason to take a long-term position with leverage, right? Why put yourself in a position where you're vulnerable to liquidation? That's the last thing you want to have happen. Okay. All right. So it gets a little crazy, right? So if this is 1, 2, and this is 1, 2, which I struggle with that. I understand the thinking there. I completely do. If that's the 1 and that's the 2, well, then, I mean, we get so far, it gets hard to wrap your head around, right? So this, if it's 1, 2, and we're going to get up to that, now we're at 279 for the 3 off of this 1, 2. Or pardon me. Off of this being 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, certainly in log scale here, that looks like a stretch. But if you take it out of log scale, not so much. 1, 2, right? Then this starts to look more like, hey, did we complete out here? And the 4 was here, and you can kind of see how it would come together. This would be this would be the 3. Shit, I don't even know if I can get that 5. This, no, it would be this one. This would be the 5 here. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Well, now it gets a little porny. Not that I have a problem with that in either sense, but the market's going to have to prove that to me, right? So, I mean, again, it's the oddest thing, right? I've been a bull for so long, and I find myself having to bridle my enthusiasm, saying, whoa, okay, before we're projecting the third, that we've gone 1, 2, and the third's going to be up in the 200K, I find myself catching myself there a little bit. As big a bull as I am, that would be, well, that'd be a high-class problem for a bull, all right, if this is 1, 2. All right, so we're kind of ending up right back where we started. What do we do about the log, no log? Right, clearly here from 3,000 to 60,000, there's almost no way to do it other than in log, right? You have to zoom in a little bit. Now you're back into that. Well, wait a minute. Do I have to be consistent? Right? There's no easy answer. I wish there was. What else has gone from 0 to 64, right, in that kind of time frame, right? Well, plenty of equities, right? You can't look at in any way other than log. You just can't. You can't break down. You can't get a wave count. You can't get any separation. Fuck, look at Apple, right? I mean, look at the NASDAQ, right? There's no way to look at it other than a log. Anyway, right? So not to dwell on that, but so there's a couple of really hardcore, like really get you excited. And then if we go down to some of the more, okay, here, and again, I'm coming out of log here. Where are we now, right? Well, it's a little bit of a hurry up and wait here. Can we get a retrace that would come back here into something we might anticipate? So this, it's trying. You know, what's interesting about this here, just in conclusion, if I try and channel this like this, we kind of are back to that same problem we have in the larger degree, where the 1 is kind of out in the cold. Let's see if I look at the similarities here. So if it's 1, 2, and this is all going to be self-contained as our 3, are we attaching the 1, 2? Look what right? We looked at this before. So it would be 1, 2. Now here's the whole thing self-contained within this channel, and I got the 1 out here in the cold, all by itself. Right? It's kind of the same thing here. Here's this whole impulse going on here, but if I bring that channel down, the 1 is right now obviously much smaller degree here, but the issue is kind of the same. We've got the if I bring the channel down, it's hitting the B, much like as if I bring the channel down here, it's hitting the X. You could simplify this, call it AB. Same thing, right? So you just got a lonely 2 out there, or a lonely 1. No. What did they say? 1 is the loneliest number. Well, it certainly is here, but 2 has been, well, here it is again, right? It's either incredibly deep or incredibly shallow, right? You're not getting traditional 2. So should we be anticipating a traditional 50 to the 6182? Well, maybe not. But here, at least, we look at it in here, it kind of makes sense. You got here, I know that's visible range here, but if I just do visible range based off of everything that we're looking at here from this low, well, lo and behold, where's POC? Right, you can kind of see how that might play. If this is going to be 1, 2, and at some point here, I'm going to get a pivot, you'd think, right? Nothing says it can't just keep going. Nothing says that it has to retrace. But as a trader, you're kind of going, okay, anytime now. My preference would be it turns before we get to the high, right? And this happens so we can long it going into the high. But I think that's unlikely. I think we're close enough. They're going to go get it. Bulls will go get it, and then we'll see what happens up there. Here's what I think is pretty very high probability is there will be volatility right there. What I don't think is that we just hit and just keep going. Of course, I'm wrong all the time, right? Again, as I will tell you guys, you do not have to be right more than you're wrong, right? I'm living proof of that. I'm wrong way, way, way more than I'm right. Way more, right? So how do you make money, right? You got to make more when you're right than you lose when you're wrong. Simple, right? Trading can be simple. The actual TA, you can make it simple or you can make it complicated, right? You can make it challenging. You can make it more precise, right? What we're trying to do is to make it as precise as we possibly can, right? This is a lot of granular. Again, you either love it or you hate it. But you could simplify it. Swing low, swing high. What'd the algos do? Is there geometry that we could put on that, right? I mean, you can simplify it. You don't have to do all this. If I didn't think it was a better way to do it, it wouldn't be what we teach. All right, there you go, guys. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Have a good weekend. This is going to be very interesting to see how this resolves next week. Hopefully, we've got a better opportunity. Right now, if you're not long, this would be a high-risk location to be longing it. Let's just say it that way. All right, guys, have a great weekend. As always, right? Remember, you can join us anytime. Join us for free. Jump into that white belt here and get started on just improving your TA skills. That's a good start. It's not that the white belt is so hard you can't get through it, but you're not going to pass it if you don't study. All right, that said, you guys have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday for another alt live stream, and until then, we'll talk to you then. You guys have a good weekend.